So we're going to look at our second part of this, and that's our defining some more terms. If we look here, define terms or terms that can be described using the words point or line. So before we were doing undefined terms, which was point and line. So to define some terms, we have a line segment. It consists of endpoints A and B, and then all the points between A and B are within that line segment. So like if I was going to write this, we would have line segment A, B, and we would just write it with a straight line. Obviously, since it's not a line, we would put the arrows above it. second thing we want to define is a ray. So ray AB consists of endpoint A and then all the points on the line on the same side as AB. So like if I'm doing this and I'm writing it out, then we would have A and B, and since A is the endpoint, we would have a line with an arrow on one end. So the endpoint would be A, and then the line would continue in the B direction. So in this next statement, I'm apparently missing stuff. This should say if C lies on line AB, so if we write in AB here, and we create our line, and then A and B, then line C or ray CA, and ray CB are opposite rays. So what this is really saying is that if we have a line, so let's create a line here. If we have a line, and on this line we have points A and B, and then we have point C on here. If C lies between these points on A and B, we could say that we have ray CB. So we have here ray CB, which would be here, CB going this direction, and then we would have ray CA, and I can write this like this, ray CA, even though it's going in the opposite direction. So here we have opposite rays. We have one going in this direction, so one going over here, and then our opposite ray is going over here by what we've created. They're both starting at point C and moving in the opposite direction. So we're going to go ahead and make diagram 2. You guys have this on your sheet up here. So diagram number 2. We're going to create some lines. So I'm going to have a line here, and on this line I'm going to have a point in the middle, point J. I'm going to have a point down here at the bottom, point H, and then I'm going to have a point up here, point G. Oh, I used J, didn't I? Let's erase that, point G. So point G is right here. And then I'm going to create another line here, and this line is going to go right here. And this is going to have a point here, which is point E. And then a point here, which will be point F. Okay? So I have several different points located in different spots on my diagram. So then we're going to use this diagram in order to answer the question that I will write up. So using this diagram that I created, let's go ahead and answer these 3 questions. So give another name for GH, and well, we could name line segment GH. We could say that this equals the line segment HG. And then name all the rays with endpoint J. So I could look here, I have a ray with JG. So JG is a ray. Then I have another ray going here with JF. I have another ray going down with JH. And then I have another ray going to the left with JE. And then my last question, which of these rays are opposite rays? So my rays that are opposite would be, and you can put this in a different order. I'm going to say JF ray is an opposite ray to my JE ray. So JF and JE are opposites, and then JG, ray JG, and ray JH are opposite. So my guided practice again, it's missing some things that are on yours, but are rays HJ the same and JH the same ray? So if we look at our diagram, HJ, so I'll make this in blue, HJ, so going from this point this way, that ray, and JH going from this point this way, are they the same ray? Do they have the same endpoint, first of all? And no, they do not. So that's a no, they don't. They have different endpoints. The second part are HJ and HG the same ray. So if we look at this, we have HJ going in, let's get rid of, see if we can do this. Okay, can't do that, never mind. So let's say we have HJ is going this way, and then we have HG, which is going this way as well. Are they the same ray? And that answer would be yes, they are. We're going to go ahead and draw our last diagram in here. So this will be diagram 3. In this diagram we're looking at intersection. So intersection is where we have sets of points in a figure that have a set of points that the figure has in common. And when we look at this, we're going to draw two planes that are going to be intersecting. So I'm going to go ahead and draw one. I'm going to draw this. Our first plane, let's go ahead and draw this in. So I'm going to do something along this lines for my first plane. And then my second one, I'll go ahead and label this. This will be plane 1. My second one's going to be like more flat. So this is a vertical plane. So I'm going to have another one coming in like this. And then remember, anything in front has a solid line, anything behind has a dotted line. So then I'm going to draw it like this, dot, 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 dot. Now we can make that a solid line. So now I have two planes. And then whenever you do this, always put a line where they're going to intersect. It helps you see it a little bit better. So I have my plane 1 is my vertical plane, and then my plane 2 is this more of a horizontal plane right out here that's going behind. So off to the right again, I want you to do a couple things. First of all, we're going to sketch a plane and a line that is in the plane. So if we make a plane, let's do something like this, and then a line that's in that plane. So we have plane, let's label it M, and then I'm going to make a line on the plane, and I can go ahead and label that, let's say line L. Second part, sketch a plane and a line that does not intersect the plane. So let's make another plane sketch here. You can spread this out, it's probably a little bit easier on your paper. And then a line that doesn't intersect that plane would have to be like something above it, below it, to the right of it. So you could have something out here and say this is line M or L, plane, capital L for that. And then our next one, sketch a plane and a line that intersects at a point. So we could create our plane. So let's do something similar to what we have been doing. And then a line that intersects it. So I might have a line coming straight out, and then it's going to go behind at this point, and then you'll be able to see it on the other side. And we'll label this line L, plane M. The last thing we're going to do is the guided practice. Sketch two different lines that intersect a plane at the same point. So if we go ahead and draw this, we have our plane here, and maybe I should make this with a little bit more of an angle. So we have, this helps visualize it better. Our plane here, and then we're going to have a line that comes straight down. So I have a line that comes straight down at the center point, and then it's going to go through the plane. So then I'm going to draw my little dots, and then it comes out. And let's go ahead and label that N, lowercase n. And then this point where we strike this plane, I'm going to go ahead and let that represent by point Q. And then I'll go ahead and draw another line that goes through that point Q, because that's what I want. And it's going to go back behind this, and it'll come out. And this will be point or I guess, line. We can call this line M. So that way we have it. We also should label our plane, so we'll label that plane P. These last ones we're going to need a diagram to reference, so I'm going to go ahead and create a diagram here for us. This would actually be up above, up here. We need our plane, so we get our plane here. And then I actually want another plane that intersects this one. So I'm going to draw a second plane. Let's label this first one plane A. And then I'm going to draw a second one that intersects this. So I'm going to have a plane coming like this. It's going to go up, come down. And I should have dotted lines here. It's going to come below, or we can see below it. So this point. And then I'm going to go ahead and connect this because this is where those two planes intersect. At this middle point, I'm going to have point M. And at that point, I'm going to have a line that comes out and then goes behind. And on this line, I'm going to have point P and then point Q. So that line has 3 points, P, M, and Q. And then I drew the second plane and we labeled the first one A, so let's go ahead and label the second one B. And then this line that I drew in here that connects these two planes, we'll call that K. And that should be lowercase. Okay, now we can answer our question. So use the diagram that we just created. Name the intersection of PQ. So line PQ. The intersection of that line PQ occurs at point M. So intersection point M and of line K. And then name the intersection of plane A and plane B. So where these two things intersect would be my line K. So the intersection of plane A and plane B would be line K, and then name the intersection of line K and the plane A that we have, and that would be line K as well. Sorry. Okay.